Morning, everyone. I'd like to officially call this meeting of the Oklahoma Medical Marijuana Authority Executive Advisory Council to order. As required by Oklahoma's Open Meeting Act, 25 Oklahoma Statute, Section 311, advance notice of this meeting was provided to the Secretary of State on December 10th, 2024. The notice included the date, time, and location of this meeting. The meeting agenda was posted July 9th, 2025 at 9:20 a.m., or at least 24 hours prior to this meeting, excluding Saturdays, Sundays, and public holidays at OMMA's principal place of business and on OMMA's website. I want to thank you all for being here today. As a reminder, this meeting is being live streamed and recorded. In order for the audience online to hear you, please turn your microphone on by pushing the button before you speak. Only council members will be recognized to speak at the advisory council meeting. Let's begin with a quorum check to ensure we have enough members present to proceed with today's meeting. Cassie, please call the roll.
Adria Berry.
Here.
David Gherkin. Here. Katie Nail.
Here.
Randy Hendricks.
Here.
Taras Valenko.
Here.
Sheriff Tommy Johnson. We have quorum.
Thank you, Cassie. We do have a special guest with us today. We have Secretary of Public Safety, Tricia Everest. Thank you for being here with us today, Secretary Everest. An advisory council provides a state agency like OMMA with expertise needed to make decisions for the agency. While the governor and executive director lead the agency, the advisory council brings specialized knowledge on helpful topics and fills the gap with providing valuable insight. They speak for the industry, for patients, for law enforcement, for agriculture, and for the public. If you wish to have your opinions heard, please meet with our council members to discuss your opinions with them to see if they would like to share them at the next meeting. Many agencies have formal boards or commissions. OMMA does not. We do answer directly to the governor. We have opportunities for public comment annually, and we have provided opportunities for the public to comment at town halls. We hear your opinions loud and clear on a daily basis in our emails, on social media, in meetings, in phone calls, and much more. It's always important to remember we are not the legislature. We do not make laws. We implement laws that are written by the legislature and signed by the governor. We are here today to discuss advisory opinions from the Advisory Council. We are now going to move to meeting minutes. All right, we will vote to approve the minutes from our last meeting, which was held on April 11th, 2025. I trust the council has had the opportunity to review the minutes. Are there any questions or amendments to the minutes? If there are no further corrections, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
I make a motion to accept.
All right, motion made by Randy Hendricks. Is there a second? Second by David Gherkin. Will you speak into the mic?
Okay, we'll do roll. Adria Berry.
Yes.
Approve. Katie Nail.
Yes.
Taras.
Yes.
Sheriff Johnson.
Abstain.
Okay.
The motion carries. The minutes are approved. Okay, I want to bring up the fact that we are awaiting our final appointee from the House Speaker. We are still awaiting word from the Speaker about that last seat. However, if the council would like to vote on a co-chair from the current members, we may do so. If you all would rather wait until we have a complete council, we may table this item, but I will leave that up to you all to discuss.
I'd like to volunteer to do co-chair.
Katie Nail would like to volunteer to be co-chair. Thoughts from the rest of the council?
I don't know enough about what the role entails, so I'd say push it until we get a full board, or unless you want to nominate somebody right now. I mean, I'm fine with Katie doing it too.
Co-chair will be someone who works with me. I'm the chair. They will just work with me on getting out minutes, organizing the meetings, that kind of thing. So we have.
If she's the only one here, and
we have a
that's
volunteer.
willing, go ahead. If she's, I'm sorry, excuse me.
Oh, go ahead.
Permission to speak.
Of course.
If Mrs. Katie Nell is here and she's willing, I would support that as well.
All right. Can I hear from the other council members?
It's fine with me. Yes.
Okay. Katie, you're co-chair. Okay. Sounds good. We'll move forward. All right, I have some general OMMA updates. Just a few things. There's always a lot going on running an agency, much less a new agency, but I just wanted to give a few items that I think you might be interested in, but I'm always open for questions, comments, anything else that you're interested in that I don't hit on. All right, so there is a handout in front of council members that's also available to the audience that lists bills that were passed in the 2025 session, and it has short summaries of those bills. On the back of the handout is an overview of when rulemaking is required for those bills, so I just wanted to make sure you guys have that in front of you in case there's any discussion. I know there's an agenda item that was put on the agenda by Randy about upcoming regulations, and we will discuss further when we get to that agenda item. I want to mention that I believe you should have seen improvements, and we've heard from industry that they've seen some improvements over the past few months on license turnaround times. Those are due to changes in processes and changes in staff. You'll continue to see improvements here if you haven't seen them personally yourself. Randy mentioned in our last meeting that he'd like for OMMA to negotiate different pricing structure with metrics, so our team took the last month to do some research. There's a handout in front of you and for the audience so that you can see pricing for metric states. We pay the same average as other states. The other states that cover licensing fees have much higher license costs than we do. So I will need more advice from you all as to what you would want me to negotiate since we pay average costs. The handout is available for anyone that wants to see it. We are continuing to build out the new licensing and inspection software and are still on target for launch the second quarter of the fiscal year, which is this fall. Once that's launched, all licensing, inspection, compliance, and administrative action information will be in one place, so one portal. Inspection reports will be available in your portal, and the public will be able to look up court actions against commercial licensees as well. Patients will have a smooth application process and can look forward to having barcodes on their licenses soon as well. Those are my overall big picture updates that I'd like to give, but are there comments or questions for me before we move on to Lee Rhodes and Alicia Shaw? Okay,
Thanks for the work on putting this together. It brings alignment as far as the cost of metric and everything and what we're paying.
Of course, and we are happy to do that. Yes, we are happy to do that. Our team has resources through our membership with the Cannabis Regulators Association to pull all that information. So whatever you guys need us to pull, let us know, and we're happy to bring it to these meetings. I'm going to turn it over to Lee Rhodes, OMMA's Chief Science Officer, who is joined by Alicia Shaw, our new Patient Services Director. Lee is going to give an overview of our QA lab, where we are on it, and then Alicia will talk about what she's been working on with our Patient Services Department. So take it away, Lee.
Thank you, and good morning to everyone. I appreciate the opportunity to update you all. It's going to be a very short and sweet update, but it signifies solid progress that we're making. We have our initial ISO 17025 accreditation on-site audit scheduled for July 29th and 30th. And we have contracted with an accreditation body known as ANAB for short, that stands for ANSI National Accreditation Board. and they are the accreditation body for ANSI, the American National Standards Institute, that is a clearinghouse for consensus standards for all kinds of industries in the United States and internationally as well. So they're a very reputable company, and I anticipate that we're going to have a very successful audit, and we'll have our accreditation in hand forthwith. Now I'm going to turn it over to Alicia Shaw. We discussed last time the patient services department, and we now have our director, Alicia, on board since then, and she's going to tell us a little bit about herself.
Good morning. Thank you for the invitation. I'm Alicia Shaw, the newest Director of Patient Services. So a little snippet, I've been a nurse for about 25 years with varying specialties from transplant to level 1 trauma nursing. Ultimately, throughout that background with my degrees in nursing and a master's in cannabis, it's always been about patient advocacy. So that's where I align with OMMA's mission to ensure that we're doing safe, regulated access for patients. In regards to the patient licensing, we're streamlining processes to hopefully make that a smoother process, especially with the upcoming platform. So, and my main goal is to collaborate with all community partners and stakeholders and continue to be an advocate for patients, ensuring safe and regulated product. So I look forward to working with all of you. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Do any council members have questions for Lee or Alicia before we move on? All right, thank you. We're going to move on to council member updates. And the first update is that Katie would like to discuss making public licensed lab fines and reasons labs have been fined. Katie, can you explain this agenda item to me, please, and to us?
Yes. So there have been concerns over the reasons labs are fined, and maybe if it's, especially if it's related to product and patient safety, if patients and dispenser, whoever's utilizing, selling product, needs to be made aware in case it's, we need to be looking at other products that this lab has processed, or, and also, correct me if I'm wrong, but I've also heard that even when the labs get fined themselves, they're not sure of the reasoning of the fine to correct their mistake.
Thank you for bringing this up so we can correct misinformation that's out there. It's, to answer your second question first, that is completely incorrect. They receive a petition that is very detailed. It's a detailed legal document. It's a litigation document containing citations to our regulations as to why they are being fined, as to why we are filing this legal document. It is a legal document, so we don't put it out publicly because it's a step one in a legal process. If a recall is needed, meaning if we need to lock down products and pull them back, we do that. That's when patients know that products are at risk and should not be consumed. If an embargo is needed, same thing, recall, embargo, that's when we let patients know. And that is our job. That's what we take very seriously. So that's what we want you to know that we are doing on our side of things. We don't put the petitions out on step one because it is a step one. We will be putting them out once they are a final order, once we've gone through the legal, all of the legal steps. We will be putting out the final orders once they have completed the entire legal process. They'll be on our new platform that we're rolling out this fall. Are there any questions about that? Or we could discuss further? Okay, thank you. We can move to your next one about Senate Bill 1066, some status update or concerns about that bill?
Yes. So I was wanting an update on maybe are we going to have enough time to implement a program, get with the medical board? What is the education going to focus on? Just to not delay or lose any physicians in patient care.
Yes, I'll start, and then Alicia can talk to you a little bit about what she's been doing because she's jumped right in. But we do believe that it's completely feasible to do, and we know that other states do similar things, and so we do think it's feasible. I asked our team to also pull some statistics on the number of physicians that have recommended medical marijuana to patients in Oklahoma since 2018. We've had 1,457 total physicians that have issued over 1.1 million patient recommendations. So we know that there are a lot of physicians out there that have recommended medical marijuana to patients. However, we also know that the top 23 physicians have issued over 600,000 of those recommendations. So that's about 56% of those recommendations. So I believe the required CME will be 3 hours. Is that correct, Alicia?
We're still toying around with that.
Okay.
And I have been collaborating with all of the medical boards. And it's something that we've been reviewing for the last couple months on modules objectively to meet standard criteria by set guidelines so that it should be a fairly comprehensive module, standard with other states. So I do believe it's doable. We're investigating all partners. So we're trying to work with the vendors as well as what are the boards requesting. And those kinds of conversations have been going on for a couple months.
Yeah, and Senate Bill 1066 required, and the council has a copy of this bill since this was part of the agenda, and I wanted to make sure you guys could look at it. It requires OMMA to collaborate with those boards to come up with a list of CME, correct? So we're not playing favorites, we're not picking and choosing, we are just saying that the physician boards and OMMA say that this list of CME is okay for them to utilize. And then we are creating that portal where the physicians will be listed that have completed that CME. And Katie, as co-chair and as a member of this council, working with Alicia would be completely appropriate behind the scenes as well. Do you have any further questions while we're on the topic? Okay, thank you. Let's see. All right, Randy Hendricks, industry perspectives of current and upcoming regulations.
Yeah, I had a lot longer list to talk about till that came out yesterday, so that answers some of the questions on as far as the new rules. About some of these bills, but so worked yesterday on kind of summarizing it down to, I think, some information that we're going to need as an industry. House Bill 2807 is the transportation licensee warehousing of the product. Do you know when these guys when can we expect to be able to apply for the permits for that? Any thoughts?
Well, Randy, you're giving me a question and you want me to answer it on the spot.
Okay,
I would have appreciated
these
questions before this
certainly.
moment.
No, I agree.
We have a team of people that work on this all the time, and giving me this right now
No,
is,
that's fine. And that was just the question that popped into my brain.
I think I have team members that have answers to all of these, but I also don't
I'm
think
sure
it's fair
you
to put them
probably do.
on the spot.
Yeah, no, I get it. And then 1066 pretty much just answered that. Most of this that you're going to see in here is really timeline and implementation of the rules. I like a lot of the rules. I'm not a big rule guy, but that's okay. You know, we can comply on it with these. But on 518, to me, that may be the most important one, and I may be looking at it from a selfish standpoint. But at this point, pre-pack was implemented on June 1st. Right now, we have over 50,000 packages packed and labeled that's being sold as we speak. So I'm just saying, what would be the timeline on implementing anything else that needs to go on these labels, and how do we do it? Because is it as of yesterday? It's a little confusing because some of it says November 25th or November 1st, I'm sorry. But then there's some wording in there that kind of sounds like it may be instantaneous on some of it.
So 518 is actually pretty simple because it is legislation, and the earliest effective date of that legislation is November 1st.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
that's good.
So on 2807, the thing that makes it more complex is we're building out in our licensing system when those permits will be available. Is that correct, Ashley? Okay. So I believe we're building out a manual process right now, and we will have that available pretty soon, like ASAP.
Okay.
And we'll be announcing that very soon. But I don't have an exact date. We had to build out a manual process until we get it into our licensing system.
And then 774 is probably the same. It's when can we expect barcodes on the licensed patients' things, and how that way we have to have new readers put in all of our dispensaries and basically any location. And so that's really from there was just a question of timeline on that also.
Yeah, that's the same with legislation. Earliest effective date, November 1st,
Okay.
2025.
And then just a couple of things.
Randy, you post your comment here about on the old licenses versus the new licenses, the replacements. I think that's a great question in there that we could use an answer to. Is are you guys going to replace all the cards for existing patients?
Right.
Like, so new patients are going to get barcodes, but what's going to happen with all the current card holders?
Yeah, the ones that get issued up to that point.
In that bill, it says for any new or replacement card after the effective date of November 1. So upon renewal after November 1st, if you have a new patient card, that card that you'll be issued will, it'll change from 24 characters to the 12 and include that barcode.
Thank you. Would it be possible to replace all the cards and get everybody on the same, just do a mass, like something for you guys to look at? To replace current card holders with barcodes so we have consistent processes when people enter?
I don't know, but we can look at that. We can look at the process.
It'd be helpful on the execution side of things at the dispensaries.
We can look at the process on our side for sure and see how that would work.
And I was wanting a little bit more explanation on the fingerprint stuff. How's that going to work? And I used to be in the financial business, and we did a tremendous amount of financial transactions for our company. And every time we would have to have a guy come in, fingerprint all the partners, and blah, 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 go through that. So I was wondering, how do you do that in a grow facility, for example, when we have 25 people right now that are working in there?
This
and
is
then you have turnover. You know what I'm saying? They're coming in and doing it. And if they've been fingerprinted somewhere else, would that be sufficient?
Yeah, this is more of an OSBI question than an OMMA question.
Yeah.
That was a legislative change. OSBI has been our partner on that. It's an FBI background check that required FBI approval that OSBI worked with them on. So we're working with them to even understand how this is going to work. We don't have all the answers yet.
For sure.
Yeah, we don't have all the answers yet. As soon as we do, we will give as much information as we have to you all.
Okay. And then a couple of things. all my girls that work in our inventory room that get the packages and start to ship them out, blah, 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 doing all that, they're really struggling with this weight in grams versus unit packages. For an example, if you buy in metric, a package of gummies is 1 unit. But once you put, say, an eighth, 3.5 ounces in a bag and seal it, now you've got to count that as 3.5. And I'm just telling you, just from us to our customers right now, it is a fiasco. We've had one that's got it right. I don't know if they just don't have calculators or what out there. But is there any way that Metric could go back in there once we bag that?
What was the issue? That the person, you said the one person? I didn't understand that.
Well, I'm just saying, once it's bagged and pre-packed, why couldn't that be 1 unit in Metric?
Oh, okay. I'm with you on that. That's a major problem on execution on the cultivation side. So pre-pack, we can only see it. I'm going to just kind of piggyback on Randy here. We can do a summary of grams, look at how many pounds we have packaged, but we don't have any way to. We have to go in and back into how many units we actually have in Metric. So unless I bought another system that tags on top of Metric, I don't have a way to go and document if I'm packaging it in 3.5 gram increments, 7 gram increments, 1 gram, whatever my unit of measure is. Most of us are going to 3.5 grams and 7 gram packaging, and then ounce packaging. So, but there's no way to pull in the report. I have 5,000 units of ACE, 2,000 of quarters, and so on. And so I see that as an issue, one, for, execution on the operation side, for us, but second, it's also tracking the units from the farm to the dispensaries. And that's, so I think we need a little help there. And I believe the processors have the ability. They're doing it with the gummies. So
No, they do it. And that's what I was saying.
Yes.
Then it's you put 10 gummies in a bag, seal it up. Now it's 1 unit in Metric.
Yep.
And that's what I'd like to do if we could on the flour, how it's packed. And I know this is all new. This is all pre-packed new stuff, but it would make our life a lot easier if we could do that.
Okay. Well,
That's probably a question for Metric. I don't know because they're going to have to convert that weight into units.
well, we'll need to understand some kind of consensus. We did a survey of states who have pre-pack to understand who does units versus who does weights. And tried to understand what was the best way to do it. There is no consensus. It's a mix. So I don't know with the number of licensees we have, the number of grows we have, I think there's a mixed opinion as well. So you two are telling us that you'd rather have units. So we kind of need to do a bit of a survey to understand what's best for our industry. So we will move forward with gaining a better understanding of that.
Well, I can tell you, I didn't talk to Randy before this meeting. So I mean, we came to the same end state there, but it's, for me, it's from a data standpoint, it's pretty important. So right now, if I go in and I say I have 10 pounds of whatever, now I got to go figure out how many ACE I package and ounces, and it's a manual process. So it's not good. People aren't going to know what their inventory levels are. So if somebody comes in and inspect, there's just tons of ways to get away with.
Because say a customer comes in and buys a pound, okay? This is on the wholesale side. And they want half of it in eighths, a quarter of it in quarters, and the rest in halves. You know what I'm saying? And that all of a sudden becomes a crazy nightmare to keep up with, to where I think if some way Metric could calculate how much was in a bag and make that 1 unit, it would help us a lot.
Yeah, Metric can do it. They do that for some states, correct, Lee?
I'm not sure there's a way Metric can actually calculate. It would still be a manual process to identify what the weight was in that unit. So I don't believe Metric can actually automatically say calculate what's in there. There would still have to be some input on the industry's part. But there is, we can talk with them about that. They're from, as Adria Berry said, they do that in other states as well. So we can certainly have that
Okay.
conversation.
Yeah,
I
to
think
be
it
cl-
would help a lot.
To be clear, I don't think they are going to automatically calculate anything for y'all. It just, the difference will be by unit versus by weight.
Right.
Okay.
Well, we need both, because we need to be able to keep it in bulk levels, because if we're selling, around a product to a processor or another farm to do something with it, we're going to sell it bulk and not package. If we're selling it to a dispensary, we need to package it. And I think, obviously we would volunteer. We have a couple of people on the team that would have some great input, if you guys want to put together a group on that.
Yeah, let's do
And, I see it as pretty simple. I mean, look at all the typical weights, most people aren't going to do 1 grams, but 1 gram, 3.5 gram. I'm kind of getting into the weeds here, but that would be a great way. Then when somebody comes in to inspect and say, hey, show me your purple milk batch. Okay. And, you're supposed to have, 20 cases of this, so now the inspectors go look and see, hey, do we actually have 20 cases, what we're reporting. So.
Okay. Thank you. We will take an action item on that.
And just one point, and this is all just to really open everybody's mind about this, is we ran into this in the last 2 days, people coming in and buying larger quantities, like 15 to 30 pounds, but they wanted it in eighths, which is fine. And there's a lot of that going on. It wouldn't fit in our delivery van. We're used to, I had a girl write this, we could put 12 to 15 pounds in a tote. Everybody uses totes. I think 28-gallon totes or something like that. We could put 12 to 15 pounds. Now we can fit 2 pounds in a tote because all the packages and everything. It's a problem. And our delivery van, it looks like a mom's soccer van, so that we do that on purpose, where it doesn't look like a delivery van, but it doesn't hold it all. So we had a guy that he had, I think, 12 different dispensaries. We had to make 3 different trips to do that, where we used to be able to make 1 trip. I don't know if that means anything or we can any way to solve that, but another pain in the butt and another additional cost to pre-pack, which I'm not a fan of, but that's here nor there. One other thing, what is the reasoning, and I'm sure you've said this many times, what's the reasoning that we can't get a summary of our inspections when they leave? And I know there's a process, we go through all that, but that doesn't seem realistic to me. When I'd love to know what we passed on and what we didn't pass on so we could correct it right there.
I mean, it's a matter of a little bit more time, and you will have access to that in our new portal. It's also a matter of history. When I came in, it was kind of, we had inspectors that were giving reports that I would say hadn't been reviewed properly, weren't accurate. So we've swung to a really extreme end, and now we're trying to work our way to the middle. So we say, okay, you can request it and we'll get it to you within a certain matter of time. We're going to be even more to the middle just this fall, where you will have it in your portal within, I believe, 72 hours after it's been reviewed on the back end. So we're getting there, and it will be this fall that you'll have access to that.
Okay. Yeah, it's kind of always a mystery, has been before. And we've never failed one. I mean, we're probably one of the strictest people as far as everything from that aspect of it. But still, I would like to know if there's some way we can improve stuff.
Absolutely. And so much of it has been on the back end, where we needed to hire inspectors, train them really well so that we know that they are filling out the forms correctly, they're trained on our regulations, and that they're consistent. And it's taken a lot of time for us to get there, and we're not 100% there even. So by this fall, we'll be closer to being there, and our system will be in place that will allow you to see your reports in closer to real time.
Okay. and this is not a gripe session, but it kind of is about what's going on in this industry, as far as we'll call it service station weed. We're sitting here doing everything correctly, and you can see, which I'm sure y'all already know, the excise tax reductions every year, because there's two purposes of that. One is the hemp-derived products that are being sold totally unregulated, and they're everywhere. And then also the black market is a big competitor to us. And I know there's not much I can do about the black market. That's up to these guys to take care of that. And Lord knows they shut down tons of them every day. It was just a cause of the way this original bill was set up. I get it on there. But I got excited when I saw Governor Stitt's message, I think in the end of April, to let's get out there and kick some butt on this. But yesterday, a cohort and I got phone calls from a friend of ours down in Duncan, Oklahoma, where 14 and 13-year-olds went in and bought gas station weed. That should be enough scary stuff right there to get some action on this. Not just these weed guys are bitching because they don't have enough, because they're losing some revenue in our dispensaries, which we are. We should be the protected ones. We're the one paying this excise tax in support of this business, which I couldn't believe. Got to thinking it's been 7 years. And I was speaking to another legislator yesterday, and she was not in favor of this when it first came out, and she doesn't use the product and doesn't even drink. But she said it is a viable business for the state of Oklahoma, and we just need to run it correctly. And so I thought that was a good statement, and that's where OMMA. But what I think, two things should happen. I think we should get some enforcement out there, and people like Sheriff Johnson, they need some help and some guidance on what they can do, and they're not getting that from the upper levels out. The two bodies, OBN and Gettner's guys, all they'd have to do is put out a letter stating this, and that would give them the incentive and to go do it, because it's already illegal in Oklahoma. It is 100% illegal, but it's just not being enforced. And I know, Lord, I know they got enough to do. There's no doubt about that. A lot of bad guys out there, but this is going to become a problem when any child, any adult, anybody that's unlicensed or not can go in and buy this stuff, and it gets them high. It's some strong stuff in there. So I don't know what we do, but my recommendation to the OMMA is I'd like to give, in this next legislative session, I'd like to give y'all some more teeth in this deal. We need to work and find who will run a bill, and let's get it pushed through where you can where you can regulate Delta 8 and Delta 10. Right now you're prohibited from that, and that's ridiculous. I think some way, somehow, we need to get that, and then whether you want to allow it and you oversee it, that's fine. But right now it's just running rogue out there. And so I don't know how we do that, who would be the best to do that, but we can figure it out.
I'd agree, because it is a major problem. I know we talk about it every time. So, not only is it bad for business because we're competing against people that aren't playing against the same rules or playing with the same rules. So it's not tested. And that's the most important aspect is, that's a perfect example. We talk about this every week in our shop. The first time somebody gets seriously injured, it it automatically goes to the legal producers. Everybody blames the people that are paying the excise tax and trying to enforce the laws, but it's these guys that are out there selling. They're selling from out of state. We're getting notices at the stores all the time, like, hey, we'll ship this in for you, and it doesn't have to be tested, so you don't know what they're taking in. It's probably dirty, They don't have the same restrictions, and they don't have the same financial restrictions. They don't have to do their taxes the same way we do with 280E. Right. It's just a disadvantage across the board, and then coupled with a serious risk for people safety. And then that's going to be, when somebody does get hurt or get sick, that's going to come on the industry because everybody's going to just blame us. And I'm like, okay, well, where did this kid get this product? And then we're also calling in, when we see stuff like that, people are talking about it, and I'm sure it's getting reported, but it doesn't seem like anything's being done about any of this. So that I did want to jump on that because I think that's a major problem.
What I will say is, obviously speaking for law enforcement in that capacity, Mr. Falinko and respectfully, Mr. Hendricks, I could agree with you in that, and it's quite funny and ironic. You lead your statements with, you're not a big rule follower, yet we see when rules aren't followed, chaos soon ensues. And so I completely agree. You have to regulate because you don't want to tarnish what we're trying to create as far as a legitimate industry. There are rules and regulations that this industry follows, and we certainly appreciate that because from a law enforcement perspective, we are trying to navigate this process too. What we can and can't do, how we can and can't enforce. And you hear it from parents quite often, the access that their children have to these products that are not tested.
On the internet.
Yes, and it, it concerns me, certainly not only, as a law enforcement official, but as a father. I completely agree wholeheartedly with this stance and how we can move forward to not only educate law enforcement and how we can, I guess, take law in action or to enforce law. I think that will be critical for our industry, critical for your industry as well.
Oh, you get a few people in the paper on the news getting busted for this, it'll clear up in a hurry.
I agree.
Now there's no repercussions of it. And I wish I'd have had it a little bit more and probably got it in this mess somewhere, but I know more than a dozen and probably dozens of other states have outlawed this. So we're kind of sitting here and I think we did the rules, but we're not enforcing it. So I think it's got to come down from one of the governing bodies that can give you the authority or give you the push to be able to do that. And OMMA is not there yet because y'all don't really have authority over that. So how do we get that? But, you go back as a business person, and these numbers are probably correct. We've probably lost 25% of our business to illegal weed. And that's significant, especially when it's a pretty tight market anyway out there.
Certainly.
We will take this as an action item to talk to the legislature about having OMMA regulate these products, and we have offered that in the past, and we will continue conversations with the governor's office about that as well. I did want to point out a couple of things that I'm optimistic about on the federal level, and I don't say those words ever because I'm not usually optimistic about anything happening on the federal level. But just yesterday, Senator Mitch McConnell introduced a bill in the U.S. Senate Appropriations Committee that would close the Farm Bill loophole completely that he actually created himself in 2018. So that gives me reason to be optimistic because the U.S. House of Representatives did the same thing a few weeks ago in a completely separate bill introduced by Representative Andy Harris of Maryland. So there are bills going through both chambers right now that would close that loophole, which means they would be completely illegal nationwide. So if you are interested in that, please make sure you're watching the federal conversation on these bills. I do think there's a long road ahead for both of these. There's a huge hemp lobby nationwide that I think is probably going to try to get some language changed in both of these bills, but it's worth watching. In the meantime, we continue to talk about what we can do in the next legislative session and in conversations with the governor, with this advisory council. But I appreciate the conversation and the handout. Thank you.
Yeah, one more thing, and this is just, it's such an open market over there. I know for a fact that there's some black market grows feeding this in there too, of regular marijuana. Why wouldn't they? You know, because it's unregulated anyway. So they're making products out of their extra stuff or their grow stuff. They don't know it, nobody knows it's there, and then they go in and sell it to these people. So it's not just the hemp industry either. It's that. So that's why I think it's vitally important that we get this off the shelves and out of the stores and do it legally. Just go by the rules.
All right, thank you for the discussion. Are there any other council member updates that were not on the agenda?
I have one more question. It's a lab question. As the lab develops, are we going to continue to look at further pesticide testing for patients?
So adding additional pesticides? Yes, we are going to continue to have those conversations. As you all saw, the legislature disapproved our rules to add additional pesticides. What we need to do is have earlier conversations with the legislature about why we are doing this, costs to the industry. We were as surprised as everyone else that they disapproved those rules, and so we're going to start those conversations earlier and make sure everyone's at the table to have those conversations. Any other council member questions, updates, or any matter not known about which could not have been reasonably foreseen 24 hours prior to the meeting? Okay, seeing no further matters to discuss, I'd like to thank all of you for your time and contributions. Our next meeting is on October 11th at 9 a.m. We are scheduled to be here in the same room, room 230. If there's nothing else, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Can I please quick comment?
Oh, please, yes.
Yes. First off, I want to say to Mr. Hendricks, with what he expressed about regulating, certainly from keeping bad actors out, it's no secret that I am not the biggest fan of marijuana, and I won't lie to anyone in the room. But I certainly stand with you and will work with you in order to regulate and to help enforce, to keep bad actors out, because you're right, that is something we deal with every day, and it's a legitimate industry, and I certainly want to protect legitimate industries, and I understand the financial component that comes along with bad actors getting in, but there's also a need to look out, like you said, for the kiddos and the other people involved that can potentially be given a product that hasn't been as scrutinized as the product that our legitimate industries are forced and faced to be able to stay consistent with their regulation procedures. And so in that, I say whatever we have to do to get these bad actors off, to enforce the law on people who aren't doing legitimately, I will stand with you in that regard.
Thank you, Sheriff Johnson. And thank you, each of you, for your contributions today. And I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Motion made by Randy Hendricks. Is there a second? Second by David Gherkin. I think we shall take a vote. No, we don't have to take a vote. We are all ready to adjourn, and thank you, everyone. Have a great day.